it over and over again. I mean, is it tautological to say God is love? Right?
It's not tautological.
No.
And I guess
So
another thing.
I'll make a point. We'll see how long I last on here. I'll be as respectful as I can. But that was not a response. Maybe it has. Maybe that point has been refuted before, but that certainly wasn't the refutation of the point. Of course, I can give an account of omniscience. That's not tautologist by simply defining omniscience without saying omniscience is simply the way God is, or simply the way God's mind is. If I did define omniscience that way, of course it would be a tautology. And that's the problem, is that if you try to cash out God's goodness in terms of, well, he's just the way God is, or his great making properties. Oh, golly, what are those? Well, those are the properties God has. Oh, okay. Now we're in tautology territory. So
No, we're
uh,
not. We're saying that
yeah,
that God is not lacking in anything. Okay. If I say the pizza is good, it means it's not deficient in any way, and it serves the purpose it intends to. Okay. So is God lacking in any properties?
does he lack in cruelty,
Um,
avarice, maliciousness?
um, well, he would be absent those things because he has the positive property that would be the negation of those properties.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are lacks,
Yeah.
right?
So
Some
God has all the because God has all the properties. Okay, that are without lack. Okay.
cruelty is a positive property, right? Like mere nothingness is not cruel, right?
God
It's not the
God is
absence
not
of
God is
benevolence,
not lack. Yeah, cruelty would be
right?
the opposite of being righteous and just, and God is not lacking in justice or righteousness.
Yeah, but righteousness is just defined as the way God is. That's the
Okay,
problem.
why is that a problem?
Because it's a tautology.
No, because
Oh,
righteousness. Okay, righteousness is okay. Is can be something that is characteristic of God, but it can be characteristic of others as well.
only in as
So,
far
for
as they match God.
no, it's not exclusive to God.
Yeah, but the problem is if
The
you're
body.
saying God
Listen,
is righteous, you're just saying God is
any
God.
professional, any. No, that's not saying God is God. Okay, it's not a predication of identity. Do you know the difference between a predication of identity versus a predication of qualitativeness? Do you know the difference?
I do. Which one are you making?
Okay, yeah, you didn't answer the question. Okay, what's the difference between the predication of identity versus predication of qualitativeness?
Qualities assign predicates, right? Descriptions, properties to an entity.
Yeah,
Identity
you're
is
not
making a
addressing the
logic.
question. Yeah,
Identity is
it's not
making
a
a statement
predication.
of
It's not a
logical
predication
identity.
of identity. It's a predication of quality.
Okay, so what quality are you ascribing to God when you say he's righteous?
What is he, righteous? That there is no evil in him. There is no injustice. See, God possesses these qualities that we have. Whenever we speak of God, we have to speak analogically. We cannot speak exhaustively of God, because in order to do so, we would have to be God. Okay? So when we give qualities to God, we have to speak analogically. That means we take the things that we are acquainted with or know, and to say God is like that or possesses these qualities. Okay? So do you understand the difference between making ascriptions to God that would be univocal versus analogical? Do you know the difference between
Yeah,
univocal and
but what you did
analogical?
is
Okay.
neither. It's equivocal.
No, it's not. It's analogical, sir.
Define the like terms of the analogy of God's
Okay.
goodness and our goodness.
It's analogical, okay? Because we are taking qualitative states that we hold in our mind or that we think of or that we know of, and we are saying is God is like that. Because we cannot speak do you know what it means to speak univocally?
Yes, I know univocal,
What,
analogical, equivocal distinction.
what does it mean to speak univocally?
To speak univocally is to speak of a thing as it is. To speak analogically is to make a comparison between two things in virtue of
Yeah,
a
and it can
property
only
they
mean
share in
one and
common.
only one. It can only mean one and one thing only. So we cannot speak univocally about God because it would have to be exhaustive. So we are speaking analogically. Okay, any professional
Um,
theologian would laugh in your face.
I'm
Okay,
I'm sorry. Do you think that, like, to say that God is omniscient, are you saying that that's just like like an analogical predication?
when we're speaking of knowledge, whatever we ascribe to God, we can whatever quality we ascribe to God, right? We cannot ascribe it in a univocal way because to do so we would have to utter it exhaustively.
Can you
So if it
identify
is
the
not, if
common
it
property across the terms of the
okay,
analogy?
listen to me carefully. Okay, if we cannot speak univocally about God because to do so we would have to speak exhaustively. Since we can't speak exhaustively, we have to speak analogically. We take qualities that I know. For example, in Scripture, God refers to him many times analogically as well. Okay. For example, does God have us refer to him as Father? Okay, that's an analog, my friend. So
Never said it wasn't.
you just don't like the fact that we're speaking analogically of God. Okay,
When you say
it's
God's
that
righteous,
simple.
are you speaking analogically?
Anything that we attribute to or about God has to be analogical because it cannot be exhaustive and univocal.
Okay, what are you drawing an analogy to when you say God is right?
Okay, we are taking things that we know of or believe, qualitative states, and we are attributing to God. But we can never express univocally and exhaustively what God is in whole or in part. So we have to speak analogically. Okay, so it's not very complicated. So when we say God is good, it's not tautological. Okay, because it's
Uh,
analogical.
yeah, but you haven't identified the analogy
Okay,
that you're using. Like,
if I say to you that house is good, if I say that car is good, do you understand what I mean by that?
yeah, in everyday parlance, right?
Oh,
To be a
okay,
good
right.
house,
And
yeah.
right. So it means it has the quality, certain good or great making properties that are not lacking. Okay.
Look, if I said,
If the house did, okay, listen to me. Okay. You're nitpicking. Okay. It's because this is typically of what sophist atheists do, and you're a sophist atheist. Okay. The bottom line is this: there's no tautology once we understand that we are speaking analogically about God. Okay, if I say God
it,
is powerful, that when I say God is powerful, that cannot possibly express univocally and exhaustively all that God is. So we're taking concepts of power that we have in our minds and we're attributing it to God. But the concept of power that we're attributing to God can never exhaustively and univocally cover what he is. Now, do you want to dispute that last point?
you're addressing points I never raised. I never
I
made a
asked
claim
you a
about God's
question,
power.
sir. You're doing what you
I'll,
always do. You
so
doing
that
what
if
you
I were to
always
describe a
do.
house as good, if
Did
I
you
were to
hear me?
say,
You know what? I'm going to
I,
kick you off the stage
I'm not
if you
disagreeing
ignore
with
me.
you.
If you no, you're doing what you always do. You're ignoring my point that I made. Okay?
Your
If
point
I
wasn't
say God is
responsive to
okay,
anything I said.
overtalk me again, okay? And I'm going to kick you because I've dealt with you before on Discord. I know your shtick, okay? You're an argumentative person. You don't debate. You bicker. Now, if I say God is powerful, when I use the word powerful, is that a univocal and exhaustive statement about everything that God is in terms of his capabilities?
Potentially.
No, no, no. It couldn't be because I'd have to be God in order to express exhaustively and univocally what his capabilities are.
I don't see how that follows.
Okay, well, why? Because God's qualities, okay, in their totality are incomprehensible to human beings because we can not exhaustively express or understand his qualities. Okay, the fact of the matter is, when we speak analogically, there's no tautology at all. So we're done, sir. The claim that
Yeah,
it's a
if I were,
tautology, the claim that it's a tautology is continued atheist sophism.
If I were to say my house is good, but somebody asked me what it meant to say my house is good, and I said, well, my house is just the way my house is, that would be tautologist. Like the
That's
reason
not
why we
what we're
don't talk
saying.
like that in
That's
everyday,
not what we're
I
saying.
thought we weren't
Okay.
over talking each other.
No, I'm
The reason
interrupting
why
you because
we,
you're being.
the
I'm
re,
interrupting you
the
because you're
reason
being
why you
deceitful.
can
That's
kick
already
me
been
for being
covered.
overtalked, but you're
All
not
right,
gonna
get
overtalk me.
out, get out,
All
you
right.
piece of garbage. Yeah, yeah. For those of you who don't know, I've dealt with him on dozens and dozens of occasions of Discord.
He's he,
what was his
th-
username on Discord? It was
that's what I was getting ready to ask. What was
clerical
his name?
error.
That's clerical error.
That's clerical error. The scumbag
Uh,
clerical error. Okay. He just ignores what you say. Okay. The bottom line. There's nothing tautologist when we are speaking analogically of God. Okay. If I said my house is good, right? Anyone who hears that, they know that I must have in my mind that the house possesses certain qualities that it is not deficient in. Okay. Understand? Whenever we say something is good, it means it possesses certain qualities that it possesses and are desirable, and that it doesn't have them where they're deficient. So, for example, when God declared creation was good, okay, it was not deficient in certain qualities. Okay, it's that simple. See, these sophists think they can fool people, but they don't. There's nothing tautological about describing God, and those descriptions are being analogical. If it was tautological, then we would have to speak univocally about God. Okay, okay. If it's tautological, we say God is God. God is what He is in totality. That would be um, tautological, right? We are making a qualitative statement about God that is not univocal, that is not exhaustive. We're taking certain qualities that we think of about things in our world around us as an analog, and we're ascribing it to God, and God has that quality to its fullest without lack. It's that simple. See, this is clerical error. This is just what he does. Even though he gets defeated in an interaction, his shtick is simply to ignore that he's been defeated and just move on like he's Muhammad Ali in the ring and he's winning the boxing match, which he's not. He hasn't changed a lick since Discord days.
that was a 10-8 round for him, and he was punch drunk and unaware.
Well, this is his shtick. He's indefatigable, unrelenting, and he's just shameless about his deceit. I feel sorry for him because it's going to send him to eternal damnation unless he repents. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is atheist sophism to say that it is tautological. Okay, there's nothing tautological if we speak analogically about God. We're taking qualities that we know of, and we're that about things in our world around us, and we're ascribing it to God. But those qualities are not exhaustive. They're not. They're not. We're not making a univocal declaration about God. We're making an analogical declaration about God. So it couldn't be tautological. Yeah, he gets this from the Angstrike crew, okay, with this sophism. Yeah, and Clark Eller, you get what you ask for. You misbehave just like you always do. You just bicker. You ignore what your opponent says, and you did it exactly what you always did on Discord. You pretend like you're being civil. You pretend like you're listening, and then you completely ignore it. Okay. If I make an ascription to God, okay, a qualitative ascription, okay, it's either going to be univocal, okay, or it's going to be analogical, okay? Now, We can't make univocal statements about God, because to do so, it would have to be exhaustive. Okay? And we can't be exhaustive about God. So we're left with being analogical. Come on up, Maximilian. I would have been vastly more patient with his sophistry had he not have a long history of being, a little lying weasel troll on Discord. Go
Well,
ahead, Maximilian.
the only thing is, there's a long history of you talking to people like that, and it's all on audio.
Yeah, and your point is?
My point is that yesterday, when I was talking to two of your associates, Theo knows this because he erased the tape so that it couldn't be, well, his tape.
Did he drop out?
No, I just booed him.
No. Let him go ahead. Let him speak.
Yeah, that's fair.
Let's let the clown hang himself. Go ahead, sir.
Wow, you don't want that to go through, do you, Theo?
I didn't
Okay,
mean.
no,
Why
Theo
don't
didn't
you tell
remove
him?
you. Hey, Maximilian, you're talking to me. Theo did not remove you. I did not remove you. One of the other mods did, and I brought you back up. So continue. Let's see how long it takes you to hang yourself.
Yeah, why don't you go fuck yourself?
See, there you go. You just hung yourself.
Well, you're the
You
one that
see,
talks like that.
you see, you don't have an ability to come up here and civilly criticize me. You see, out of the goodness of my own wonderful and charming heart, I brought you up here again. Okay. I didn't kick you. I didn't remove you, nor was it my intention. Somebody else decided to remove you the first time, and then I brought you back up. And then you piss on my leg, really? When I'm allowing you to speak your mind.
Yeah.
See, this is what we're left with. Okay, listen, I'll give you one more chance, but if you're crude or profane, I'm just going to remove you.
Hmm. But yeah, in response to some of the stuff he was saying, yesterday, he messaged me. he says Darth is what's wrong with Christianity. I'm gonna do a video, a Christian channel, because we're gonna show you. Well, anyway, so basically, he's telling me that I'm bad for. Um, I don't know, saying I'm bad. But anyway, so I was saying that Darth is good-hearted. He's telling people the truth, and if you're a Christian, a good thing to do is to talk to people directly instead of not doing so. And he says, "No, you're mistaking me for Christian. I'm here to reveal the fake from the real ones." And then I said, "Oh, okay, sola gratia equals a real Christian." And then he says, "I'm not a Christian because of people like Darth and people like me."
Well, that's
And
just childish reasoning. Is that true? Did you say that, Maximilian?
Let him tell you the rest of it.
No, I'm asking you. Is that true? What you said?
Oh, that I don't want to be like you guys? No, I don't want to be like
No,
you,
that wasn't the
Darth.
question. That you're not
Darth,
you reject the. Please
you
don't
get to
overtalk
cuss
me.
at people because you're a piece of shit.
he's
Okay. I don't do it gratuitously. Okay. I do it after the fact, and I do apologize when I do it. I just don't do it, just simply to be offensive. Okay. Wow, you give the guy 3 chances, and he blows it every single time. Wow, amazing.
yeah. But basically, he was saying like that, like I'm not a Christian and you're not a Christian. So I messaged him. I was like, "Hey, let's talk. Be glad to hear you out." And so I went and I heard him out. Um, and Yeah, I mean, my overall point is that a Christian is someone who accepts that Christ has paid for their sins in full. Like Christ's blood on the cross pays for our sins completely and totally. Um, we we're not, people aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. Other people aren't perfect. So, and we should follow God, not people. No, that was my overall thing. But yeah.
That was really awful. He should have said you're a piece of poo-poo. Sorry, that's just my silly sense of humor coming out.
No, I get it. I think that was I think that was the replay with the debate um between Silver Star and the others, or someone else, or I forget, but it was one of the replays, and I figured it was just best not to keep it up, so I took it down.
There
Yeah,
was
or
no
some
debate between Silver Star. He runs every single time, or he uses his mods to expunge somebody who has the nerve to challenge him that he thinks he doesn't have the intellectual high ground on.
yeah.
So the only reason Maximilian is an atheist is because he doesn't want to be like the Christians.
Yeah,
Is
this
that
is
his
about as
position?
sophisticated as the way teenagers reason. Welcome to the room, Dubs.
Hello. Can
I don't believe it's true though.
I speak on the title?
Would Sure, go.
Is Christianity a good thing? Of course not. Of course not. It's been extremely detrimental thus far. It keeps you submissive, docile, and the puppet for it is a fake white man who wasn't even white. He would have been black, according to Revelations 1, chapter
Okay.
verse
So
14 and
what?
15.
So what is your standard of the good that Christianity deviates from?
Well, it keeps, and then it also takes your money as well. Let me add that.
Okay, you didn't answer my question. Okay, if Christianity is not good, okay, as a worldview, um, what is the standard of the good that it deviates from?
Well, it doesn't teach you true expression, and it keeps you
Okay,
submissive. And
okay, Dubs. I've asked a question
come on,
twice,
you want to
and
remove
you're
me?
please. No, I don't want to remove you. But when people dodge a simple and fair and clear question, I'm going to just overtalk you and tell you you're dodging. Okay. Do you have anything that you appeal to that will be your standard of the good?
Absolutely. Um,
Okay. And what is that?
well, let's say an African spiritual center where we can where you can teach out of a book that actually do something for you, your everyday
Okay.
life.
Dubs, what you just said to me is just white noise. What is the objective standard of the good, or are you giving me a subjective standard?
Oh man, we use big words and stuff to try to confuse people.
No. Do you know, is objective and subjective confusing to you?
No,
Okay. Do you be, do you believe God is the ultimate gold standard for everything?
um, I mean that's a loaded question.
Okay. What is in one sentence? Okay. Whenever you ask somebody a legitimate question, but they're very uncomfortable about answering it, rather than answer the question that they feel they're at a disadvantage answering it, they'll say it's a loaded question. Now, Dubs, can you tell me in one sentence what is a loaded question?
Something that's very much too incomprehensible.
No, sir, that's not what a loaded question is. A loaded question is a question that has either an explicit or an implicit premise that is otherwise objectionable to the questionee. Okay, so did you understand the definition of a loaded question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, was there an objectionable premise in the question?
Um, I don't lost track of the question. You said of God
Okay,
the
the
Son.
question, yeah, do you accept that God is the gold standard for everything?
I would have to say no because my interpretation and my concept of God is different from yours.
Okay. Do you believe that what is ultimate and fundamental to all temporal states is an eternal mind that we call God?
No.
Okay. So then you don't believe in God then. Okay? Because if you don't believe that which is ultimate, from which all things derive and depend, and is a mind, then we're no longer talking about God. We will be talking about an entity that you may call God, but it itself is subject to one or more parameters of things existing, or it doesn't control everything, and everything doesn't derive and depend upon it. So that wouldn't be God by definition. You would just be talking about another creature within the totality of everything. Okay?
I'm talking about. Are you talking about God that's described in the Bible, Darth?
I'm using the word God in terms of a minimalist definition. Okay, what are the base characteristics that we could give for God? Now, I only believe that God that exists is the God of the Bible, but I'm asking you about, do you believe in an eternal creator at all? Either you believe there is a supreme being who is the eternal creator, who is the source and basis why everything that is not himself exists. Do you believe that or not?
Yes, I do. I believe in the Creator, 100%.
Okay, which God do you believe in?
I believe in the Creator who created all things, such as water, the earth, dirt,
Yeah,
humans.
yeah, I know that, but what which God is it?
He's simply the Creator. I believe that He created humans and
Okay,
every.
okay. Are you a deist?
Um, I don't like to get into labels, Darth. I just believe in a Creator.
Oh, okay. What is a deist?
Darth, Darth. I don't really like to get into the
Do you
label.
know? Do you know what a deist is?
Uh, yes, I'm
What
looking
is
it
it?
up.
Well, you don't need to look it up if you know what it is. What is it?
It's the existence of a supreme being who does not intervene in the universe. So, I
Okay.
mean,
So you
according,
so you so you did so you did so you did know what it was, and you were attempted to be deceptive and evasive when I asked you the question, weren't you?
oh man,
Were you being deceptive with
no,
me?
I wasn't being deceptive, man. I
Okay,
that's
now
why.
okay, stop right there. Stop right there. Now you're being deceptive again because now you're lying that you weren't being deceptive. Okay? I asked you if you knew what it was, and you were trying to convey that you knew what it was, but you didn't want to get into labels. This was a pure diversionary response when you said, "I don't want to get into labels." I asked you, "Are you that?" It's a simple question.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay. So why couldn't you answer that the first time?
Can we move on, please?
I asked you a question. Why couldn't you answer that the first time? So you're a deist?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, here's the problem. Then there's no God to invoke then. Because a deist God does not engage in revelation or self disclosure or providential intervention. So there's no God to invoke. Okay? Could you invoke and instantiate the existence of God if such God did not engage in any way of giving self disclosure that he exists?
I couldn't do that. I just know of him as the.
So you couldn't do that, okay? But you see, the God that you believe in is within the deist framework. You conceded to that a moment ago. But that God doesn't engage in self disclosure. So when you invoke God, you don't have a basis to invoke God from your deistic perspective. Do you understand the problem that you're in?
This is like an interrogation, Darth.
No, it's not. It's a legitimate question. Okay, and that's another deceptive response. It's not an interrogation. It was a legitimate question as per the topic of what you believe about God. It's not an interrogation. The point of the questions is to bring to light if you know what you're talking about. Okay?
Okay.
So it's not an interrogation. That's a lie. Okay?
Okay. Can I?
So what you're trying to do is, because you are uncomfortable in answering some basic questions about your belief system, because you're uncomfortable, because either you don't know how to answer or you're afraid of answering and what the ramifications will be, you are throwing me under the bus and trying to impugn me by saying I'm interrogating you when these are legitimate questions based upon the topic. So far, you've been incredibly deceptive on a number of things so far. Okay, so you have no God to invoke, do you? Right?
Yeah, man.
You have no God to invoke, do you?
Um. No. No. I get no.
Okay, so what you are left with is essentially atheism. Okay, because if you do invoke God, you're not going to have a rational basis to do so. Okay, there's simply no God to invoke because there's no revelation. Okay, so then whatever you declare is out there. In this case, God is just simply an arbitrary declaration.
Okay. Can I state my claim?
Sure.
Yeah, Christianity is also not a good thing because the top people, these so-called popes, they usually get into pedophilia cases and
Okay. Well,
sexual.
you don't have ability to say what's good or bad in your world because you don't have any ultimate reference point.
Do you
There's no
approve of
God.
pedophilia?
Hold on a second. Okay. What I think about a particular topic is not at what's issue here right now. Your position is that certain states of affairs are good and bad. In order to label something good or bad, you have to have a final reference point. Okay. Metaphysically, you have no final reference point, do you?
I do.
What is the ultimate and final reference point in your model of reality?
Uh, Death.
Okay, you see, that's a completely statement out of ignorance. Okay, death is not something that is the ultimate reference point from which all things derive and depend. Okay, the ultimate reference point is going to be what is it that is fundamental and ultimate that dictates what is, can be, and cannot be. The physical cessation of biological life is not the reason why the moon shines brightly on a cloud-free night. So it couldn't be the ultimate reference point. So when you say things are good and bad, what you should say is you should say, I don't like this, I like that.
I don't
Right?
approve of it.
Who cares what you approve of?
I care what I approve of.
Well, I'm glad that makes you happy. So when you criticize the white man, when you criticize religions, whatever that may, all you're just simply doing is you're telling us, oh, I like this, I don't like that. I wish things were this way, I wish things were not that way. But you have no objective reference point to say what's good or bad. Do you understand your
Yeah, I
problem?
do. Yeah, I do because I believe the society I live in, if you do pedophilia, you'll be arrested. And
Okay,
I think
that's an appeal to consequentialism. Okay. Now, the point that, yeah, do you know what consequentialism is?
enlighten me.
Consequentialism is something is either good or bad simply and only because of its consequences.
Uh,
Okay? Now, the bottom line is when
It's
you
like
say
most
something
things.
is good or bad, when you say something is good or bad, it's going to measure up to your hierarchy of values. Okay? Do you understand that last statement?
yeah, that's true. I also think a lot of people wouldn't approve of
Okay.
it.
All right, listen to me. Listen to me. When you say something is good or bad, whatever it is, okay, is it because it either does or doesn't measure up to your hierarchy of values? Now, is your hierarchy of values subjective or is it objective that that hierarchy of values is true and obligatory whether or not you believed in it.
Yeah, I booted him because he was being a massive troll. So
Yeah. Yeah. And the guy showed what an ignoramus he is. But he sure has a racist chip on his shoulder about the white man.
yeah.
Well, do you think that he even realizes not Christians aren't under the Pope? It would be Catholics.
Oh, God. What would you
Yeah.
like to say,
So not
Musty?
all Christians.
So tell us why you're an atheist, Musty.
Let's see. Why am I an atheist? Well, it all boils down to really just the concept of a God being unnecessary and like not really sensical.
Okay, what you have just
Sensible.
said is non-informative, because when you say God is not necessary, that is the same thing as saying God does not exist. But that doesn't tell
Yeah.
us how you came to listen carefully. But that doesn't tell us how you came to the conclusion that God does not exist. Okay, all you're simply doing is you're repeating the definition of atheism, not how you rationally arrived at atheism. So
Because that's
how
not
is
what
it
you
that,
asked.
okay, did you understand my critique?
Yeah.
Okay, do you realize you didn't answer the question? You just simply recapitulated the definition of atheism in different words, but you didn't tell us what the rational justification that atheism is true.
Because
So
that's not what you
how did
asked. But okay.
yeah, Musty, listen to me. If you're a fool, I'm not going to have much patience for you, okay? I'm asking you legitimate questions here. Now,
All right.
do you have a rational justification that there is no supreme being, creator, God?
Yeah. It's a pretty long list, but yes.
Okay, what is your justification for the not God world?
Hmm. Where to begin?
Yeah, I warned you early. If you're just going to be a court jester, I'm going to kick you.
Who said anything about being a jester?
Okay, listen, you're on thin ice, my friend. Okay, please answer the question. God does not exist because.
Because trying to pick a reason here. Let's see. Uh,
He was just going to troll Darth. That's all he was
Wow.
interested in
Welcome.
doing.
Yeah, another idiot atheist. Go ahead, Albert.
Um, okay.